is I would love if each of you would say your name, say hello, a one-word opener, one positive thing that's happening in your world right now, and then a key takeaway, a request, a question. What had you take an hour out of your day other than its crazy times to see if we can help each other solve some things, laugh a little bit. And then the juicy question of 3 years from now, looking back, what would we need to do so that in 3 years we could say this current crisis was one of the best things that happened to us? And that's for each of you. So if you would, I'd love for you to check in and state your need. And if you have additional ones that come up, if you would put them in the chat box, that will help me a ton. Otherwise, we're gonna mute the people who are not on until we get to talking as a group. And Jessica's in charge of the world, right?
Yep, always.
Okay. All right, thank you. I just wanna make sure that's true because that's where I live. And we'll start checking in. And Deborah, if you wanna start, B, you will be next.
Sure. My name is Deborah Ratty. One word opener, chaotic. One positive thing happening. I actually am able to take this time out today to join. I wasn't sure I'd be able to. Did you want me to keep going or just stop there?
No, please state whatever. And if you have more than one thing, let us know why you got on here and what you're hoping for.
Yeah, so chaotic. I work for a state health department in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis. So that's the chaotic.
Woofda. Thank you.
Yeah. One situation, it was interesting, and I was just trying to ponder that while I was waiting for this to start. And there were two of us leading this response for the state health department, or a section of it. And we did a reorg and brought in a couple new guys, and they worked together outside of this response. And now the three of us are working together. And all of a sudden, it's feeling like it's the Chris and Tom show, and Deb's sort of on the periphery. So I'm trying to figure out how to address that going forward.
And are those two people coworkers, bosses?
Yeah, they're like boss and manager. So
okay.
Manager, yep. So they work together all the time. And then,
so a boss and manager, just so I understand, yep. I want to be able to come back to this. A boss and manager who are now both acting like bosses.
Right. So we're running what we call an incident command response, where there's the three of us sort of are helping direct the activities of the agency with other groups reporting to us. And Tom, the director, first came in a couple weeks ago because the person I was working with got moved to a different position. And then we decided we needed more bench strength. So then he brought in Chris, who had been helping in another role. But it's just kind of interesting watching the dynamic over the last few days, because it just feels like, I don't know, it just feels different.
Got it.
Yeah, so they're into a rhythm, and I'm not quite part of that. And I don't know if they even recognize that for sure.
Got it.
3 years from now, I think that hopefully the best thing that happened is we have that the people of Minnesota that we're serving feel like we made the right decisions for managing this disease, this virus, and that we've made great strides in our planning and preparedness based on lessons learned, that we're able to grow and learn from this situation, even though today it feels like we just want to survive it.
Yeah, well, thank you again to you and everyone else who's working so hard. I will say our governor is doing a bang up job, and I know you guys are backing him 1,000,000,000%. So thank you for everything you're doing, because it's a lot to manage. All right, thank you. B, you are in next. We're going to mute Deborah and put you in.
Hi, I am Bia Bonti, and
sorry.
yeah, it's okay.
No worries. Beatrice is my name, but for some reason, Bea stuck when I was a kid. So there it is. And my one word opener would probably be flustered. And a positive thing happening is I run a small business. So seeing our team come together, everybody's been super supportive of each other. And just seeing people work harder than I feel like I've ever seen them work before. My key takeaway request would be, I guess, just, so yeah, my husband and I own a small business where we do digital marketing. And so any encouragement for running a business through a crisis and a possible economic downturn, I would love to hear if anybody's been in a situation like that before, or like has any advice. I'm a little younger, so I was in college when the 2008 thing happened. So I've never been through something like this before. So I think that I'm just really diving in with both feet, and I don't really have any experience with this. So yeah, any advice would be welcomed. 3 years from now, looking back, I would say if we have a team still intact, we've made a commitment to our team to not make any layoffs, but also I don't want to just stay with our current team. I want to grow and expand and have people who weathered this storm with us still on our team in 3 years.
Awesome. Did you tell your team there would be no layoffs?
We did.
Yes. I will tell you, don't ever tell them that
or, I'm sorry, we didn't say no. Like, we just said that's the plan is not to do that, and we are not planning on it. Obviously, we can't make any guarantees, but we did say our trajectory is not to do that.
I hear you, and we're going to come back to that. But one thing I can tell you, every employment attorney on every call
Yes.
I've heard saying, make no promises and don't allude to anything, because how people hear that at this time is, they'll say you said it, even if you said we were making every attempt. They're going to go, they said they wouldn't lay us off. So just be mindful, friend. We will help you as much as we can. Thank you, Bea. Alicia, welcome. Let's hear from you.
My name is Alicia. One word opener, busy. One positive thing happening. Yesterday, my company furloughed probably 3/4 of the company for the next couple months, and I was lucky to stay on. So I'm continuing to work and take over some responsibilities I wasn't previously doing. Key takeaway. I think situation you could use help with. I think transitioning into working, and I think we're going to end up working more with less people, and I think just adapting to that and trying to figure out how to work in the new retail environment is going to be tricky. With everything changing, stores closed. So I think that's something that I really need to figure out. And 3 years from now, I would love to see our company back up and flourishing like it was previously before the pandemic. I think it's going to take some time, especially how everything's going to change in our industry that I work in. So I'd like to see it, whatever changes happen, to be able to flourish and stay alive, our company, and be successful.
Awesome. Thank you. And if anyone noticed this fabulous black sweatshirt I'm currently wearing, you're getting a sneak peek of Alicia's company, American Fashion Network, produced these. We are waiting for them still because due to our impeccable timing, we ordered these initially thinking they'd be here for Christmas. Then with a few delays on our end, we ran into Chinese New Year, and then this strange little thing called COVID-19 happened. First in China and then here. So we are getting the merchandise sometime soon. And should you want to purchase any, we would love it because it will help Alicia and it will help us, but we'll keep you posted as that goes. So I would be remiss in not mentioning this is my favorite sweatshirt of all of them. So thank you for the great work you guys do.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Jeannie, you're up next.
My one word would probably be uneasy. A positive thing, an outcome of all of this is there's been, in the stillness and the slowing down of the pace, has created more time for richer, deeper conversations. So that relationship side of our internal team, and we're a consulting firm, so also with candidates and consultants, because we're not like rushing to another meeting or rushing to a next appointment. And some really great things have come out of that. Key takeaway request for like that situation. Our team is made up of a lot of sales-like personalities. That's the core of our staff, and that means it's really important to keep them motivated in a time that people aren't buying.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm nervous about everybody's adjusting from working from home and everybody's having great conversations, but this next quarter and probably into the next is the ramp down. So how do you keep them excited for this so that we're ready when the doors bust open again? So that part concerns me. And 3 years from now, looking back, I don't want to be known for, you know, the leader that screwed it up. You know, I want to be a part of rising to the occasion because because we managed it so well that we became from this circumstance that employer of choice in our space, in our field. We were able to adapt and adjust and flourish ultimately. That would be my look back.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Rita, you are up next. Uh-oh, we can't hear you. Hang on. Try that.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Now,
Yep.
my name is Rita Webster. My one word opener would be happy. Actually, two positive things. My 4-month-old granddaughter's coming over at 3:30. I get to hang out with her for a while. And then last week, I just realized if I'm going to spend all this time in my office, I really have to make it be mine and update it. So the walls have been painted. There's a new rug. The chair just arrived, and realizing I'm going to have to do a lot more stuff via Zoom. So my desk is in a different place. And so I'm just like happy to be in here. Which just, it just makes me happy, I guess. So it's nice to be able to be like stuck in a space that I'm really happy being in.
Yeah.
My one situation is learning now how to do more online marketing and online sales processes, because I've been very much a networker, face-to-face kind of person. And 3 years from now, I would love to be able to say that this current crisis helped us to learn how to stay grounded in peace and love, no matter what's externally happening, and teaches us how to not let fear take over.
Love it. Thank you. Stephanie, you are next, please.
And I think blessed too, also because I was on spring break with my kids just the week before, let's say the week of this first full week in March. And my team, I have a really great team I'm on at 3M, and they were starting to get into it while I was on spring break, and then I came back, and then everybody suddenly is working at home. So now I've got my whole setup at home. The time I used to spend commuting, I'm now working because I'm on a corporate EHS team where I have about 3 COVID meetings a day about how we're going to manage this in our facilities across the world. And my school age kids are home with me. And so the positive is that I'm part of a great team. There's been great teamwork in the COVID thing, along with the same time we have big organizational changes happening. And my only, I guess, I don't want to leave the kids behind because I got to figure out how to keep them learning something at the kindergarten and second grade level they're at, while I also continue to get my work done, and my husband's working half times from home now too. So, but everybody's in a job. Yeah.
So continue with the questions if you would. Oh,
Question.
we're losing you.
Sorry. The
There you
question.
are. Yeah, just on the screen. Can you see the screen?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
I've got the list in the middle.
Yep.
Oh, 3 years from now, honestly, that there's overall less illness because everybody's finally figured out how to wash their hands and keep away from other people.
I love it. And the kids home and both of you working at home is the situation you'd love
Yep.
to talk about?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. That's never come up on any of these calls before. Just kidding. Just kidding. All right. It's good to hear you. Marissa.
All right, let's see. So I'm Marissa. My one word opener, I think, is acceptance. Key takeaway. So I don't really have a situation. So I do what Sue does. I'm an EOS implementer here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and we're thinking about doing some community IDSing calls like this in our area. So I just wanted to kind of sit in on one and see how you ran it. So it's more of a observational experience for me versus a needing something specific.
Well, and this is not just EOS. This one's our unfuckwithable group.
Right.
So this is like everybody. So just so you're aware.
Yep. Yeah, got it. Yeah, we want to kind of open it up to our like network, right? So I just wanted to see like, what does this look like when it's not an EOS thing, right?
Yep.
3 years from now, looking back, I think, you know, I thought of that as the royal we, or the more community we. What would I like to see us look back on? And, you know, I think a lot of us want things to get back to normal when this is all over, but I think there are some things that are changing that needed to change and that are actually positive. And so I actually hope that we don't just flip right back to the way things were before this, that we learn some lessons and take some positives from this and change our behavior where behavior needs to be changed. So.
I love it.
Yep.
Love. Thank you. All right, Jan Shapiro, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I apologize, team. The shower did not happen after my 6 o'clock run. I jumped into communications, so pardon me. Next time I will have. I'll look prettier. I pray.
You look great.
Yeah. So thank you. So my one word opener. How I'm feeling at the moment is I do think it is uncertain. I work in PR and communications, and CNN is on my background now. It has to be for me to be informed. So I have to say uncertain. And the positive, because my uncertain goes into my question for the group. The positive is I am absolutely seeing a kinder, gentler, more forgiving world at large, from banners to help to organizations to my neighborhood, in my community, and seeing different sides of people that I haven't seen, and making me more aware of we're all in this together, and that common theme is bringing out some real goodness. And there can be tears for me of sadness, and in this next minute I am tears of wow, of the power of of the heart and of people. So there's a lot of positivity around that. My takeaway request is and Sue, this is you help me with this constantly, and it is not being too hard on yourself at this time, and realizing that it is work-life integration, that your books and your messages are so timely. And I just referred back to your journal last night because I did need to write, and it was actually, I think, your friend Matap who also inspired me, that it is a helpful tool. And I do need more tools to keep me not uncertain and don't push that negativity, but to the positive. And leading in this new norm, and balancing where we all are of being at home with, I have 6 in the house, 3 students, husband working. I have been relegated to my upstairs where it's quieter for these Zoom calls, and managing really fitting in healthy aspects mentally, physically, and your client and your workload. So that's it. And where do I want to be 3 years from now? I want, I think I'm going to mirror what I think Marissa said. And I'm going to mirror that, what we're learning from technology and efficiencies and productivity and the ability to work from home for many may be a positive. And our technologies, I think, will propel because of this, from retail, online, e-commerce, to the ability to have more virtual working relationships. And I think that's a real positive.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you. Marnie Oaks Raleigh, how are you? I have your picture, not you.
Yeah, it's because I haven't showered.
You can see that some of us are just barely getting by. We're good.
Oh yeah, the only problem is I have this big glaring light. Here, I'll show you, that's behind me. And so it makes me look really fabulous.
Angelic.
Yeah, it's quite lovely. See? Isn't that
Well,
great?
we can't see it. We cannot see you. So we've got your fabulous picture. Go ahead and check in. You're doing great.
Okay. So Marnie Oaks Raleigh, and my one-word opener is gratitude. Even though I go through fits and spurts of fear and being wowed, I'm remaining very positive and finding the silver lining in everything that at the moment could be something considered a negative. One positive thing that is happening, our team has been now remote for a couple weeks. We've had a very liberal working remote policy just to accommodate the different lifestyles that people have. And I'm typically not one to like to work from home. Our kids are all older, so that's not the issue. But they all have moved back home through this situation. So I'm going from being an empty nester to having 3 young adults that have been off on their own. So that's kind of a new twist to things. But the positive thing is that our team is pulling together in such a spectacular way. I'm seeing team members that are digging in and they are elevating themselves in ways that they've just never needed to do before. And then I'm also seeing team members that really should have elevated and they're not, and it's making it really easy to be picking and choosing what the long-term plans look like. And I'm actually interviewing right now, which is, I'm going to just use that word, scary. I hate that word, but it kind of is. But we're moving forward because we've got clients that are contacting us. We had a ton of projects that got put on hold. I should say we do design, branding, web development, digital marketing. We're a full service agency. And then the other side of our business is merchant card processing for B2B transactions. So we've got a lot of people asking us about e-commerce websites. And when this whole thing first started happening, we had a lot of people that just, they put stuff on hold. And now within the last 2 days, I've gotten contacted by people. They're like, yep, as soon as this is over, we're ready to go. So it feels like the middle market is ready to jam, whereas that smaller level business is still sitting in a lot of uncertainty. My takeaway request is that lots of things keep me up at night besides night sweats with menopause, but
there's laughing happening from some of us, sort of.
Oh yeah, I know we're friends on Facebook, so you may have seen one of those lovely posts that I put, and it's just like it's a circus sometimes. But I think but the thing that's been kind of keeping me awake lately has been laying in bed and questioning my own leadership and wondering what it is that I'm forgetting to do, and then going back and forth from I'm doing great to, oh, I'm doing a bad job, is to like the unknown. It's like I don't know what I don't know of what I should be doing, and that's driving me crazy. So I've been doing a lot of reading on leadership and trying to find different ways to continue to motivate the team and to keep them all engaged and all in and making right financial decisions. So that would be like that situation. And then 3 years from now, it's funny, we've been looking back at historical stuff. We've been in business now for nearly 2 decades, and it's like there's so many learning points along the way. And I remember feeling that last week we've been sprinting in a marathon, and I find it really interesting. It feels like we're in startup mode again, and because people they're desperate and they're wanting information immediately, and so all of us are on alert. So 3 years from now, when I look back, I want to be able to say that we approached the situation with enthusiasm and entrepreneurship to see how it is that we can continue to be innovative, to pivot. And when we're done, when we come out of this, we're going to look like a different company some way, somehow. And how exciting is that going to be?
Very cool. I do think that's exciting, and I do think that's awesome. Thank you. All right, Heidi, you are up next.
Okay, my name is Heidi Schuster. One word opener, I would say overwhelmed a little bit. Right now, we right before kind of everything happened, one of the people who runs one of the divisions in our company decided he was going to go off on his own, which significantly changes the company. And so I'm navigating that while I'm navigating all this other stuff. So we're really looking at, refocusing and really, which I think will be good at the end of the day, refocusing into the main thing we're going to lean into and in our business. And so I want to really understand, like with all this upheaval, kind of how do I keep the remote team motivated and connected and moving forward. And then 3 years from now, looking back, I want to have the company in really leaning into one direction and having a really clear, focused vision of who we are and what we do and what we provide to clients, and be growing and successful.
Awesome. Here's what we're saying to people very much with many of my clients. One of the good news, bad news things about times in business like this is that it exposes all the places we could get better. So the blessing in that is you can get better and you're getting the info you need to respond. The bad news is you gotta sort of feel your way through it, which is not always joyful. So thank you for that. All right, Celestine, I think you and friend are last, and please come unmuted and do your brief check-in, please.
Hello, I am Celestine, and right now I feel happy and curious. And I would like to walk away, the question is walk away from this conversation with what in 3 years from now be? Okay, I'd like to walk away from this conversation with clarity on decision making. I personally feel like there's a lot of options that are possible, and I could go this direction or this one, and how do I know which one to go with? Because there's so many pivots that are being required lately. It's like, how do I know which one to go with? So that would be helpful. And 3 years from now, I'd like to walk away, or not walk away. I don't know, maybe there's something I need to walk away from. And 3 years from now, I want to look back and say, wow, I had a lot of courage and innovative in my particular business. So yoga and meditation and coaching. Yeah, courageous, innovative, and willing. Like willing to stick my neck out and try the next thing. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. How about your friend?
Oh, okay. I feel relaxed and
What's your name?
my name is Chelsea. I feel relaxed and open. Takeaway, I don't know. I'm just kind of an observer. I'm just here for the experience. And in 3 years, I hope that I can look back and know that that I was in the ring. I was in the ring. I was in the arena doing the work and being kind of similar, courageous and open. So.
Little Brene Brown creeping in. I love that. I'll take her all day, every day. Thank you very much. And you may have missed it for those who entered a little late. If you have specific things you want to talk about, just put them in the chat box. Jess, please jump in and introduce yourself. Check in.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Jessica, and my word for the day, I think there's like 1,000 words for every given moment, but I'll choose acceptance. And that leads to my one positive thing. I think I really embraced acceptance today, and it did a major grounding and shifting of my overall sense of joy and peace during this very interesting time in our lives and history. My one takeaway request would be, I have 2 teenagers, and I would love to know how to not lose my bleep in trying to manage them, and maybe a couple of games that I could play with teenagers. I've got the mixtape game, so I'm hoping to pull that out and play that with them. But if you have any other suggestions for teenagers, let me know. And in 3 years, looking back, I think one of the things I was reflecting on this week is, first and foremost, I want to know more creative ways to be serving and supporting people when we do hit these overwhelming hard times for not just one individual at a time, but this entire world. Like, that's crazy. And what I've also realized is we can only really love and serve each other to the extent that we're loving ourselves. And so I hope in looking back that we all have taken that time to really get to know ourselves and love ourselves more, so that we've increased our capacity to love others in much more authentic ways.
That was deep and profound. I like it.
Well, it's been a week, so there you go.
Well, it's been a week every day. That's
right,
how I
exactly.
feel. All right, here's what I heard. You guys can tell me if I've missed anything in particular or misstated the root cause. If you see the issues or the takeaways you're seeking up on the screen, can you guys see it? Number 1. Did I miss or misstate anything, at least at the core? And Deborah, I've got your name at the end, not the beginning. So whose need, if you would just raise your hand like this, and flag. Anybody have a time sensitive need up there? One that, dang, we got to answer that one right away. No one would be that self-serving, would you, ladies? Love you all, but that's a woman thing. All right, so we're just going to number what's most important to answer, or the ones you want to take on, because we have a limited amount of time. And what I've made up about these calls, at least what we found in doing quite a few of them, probably, I don't know, 20 or 30 over the last few weeks, is that it's just as important that you just did what you did, which is check in and get to talk and say hello and see faces, as it is that we really solve anything. Because I think on every God blessed Zoom call that we're all on, which is 10,000 a day, we're trying to solve things. And I think people really have a tremendously huge need right now, your teams, your people, your family, to just talk And for all of you, I want you to hear this from my heart and soul. What I know about the leaders is there's not always someone checking in on you to say, hey, how are you doing? Because you can't fall apart in front of your team. You may not be able to fall apart at home so easily with all the people who are in your space 24/7 now. And the whole idea of managing your mental and physical and emotional well-being has changed. And so I will just tell you from my perspective in listening, I want to appreciate all of you for getting on a call with people you don't know and saying what you have and just letting there be space for it, because smart people are always on these calls. So I want you to speak from experience. We're going to number these. Just somebody, if you would, either in the, I would prefer it in the chat if you would. If there's a number you'd like to hear about, please just put the number in the chat. And I just want the top 3 right now so that we can answer some of this. And then we will. And I'll just make them 1, 2, and 3 in the order they come up. We'll do 3 and we'll see if we have time for 3 more. And then I've got a challenge for you at the very end. Invitation challenge that's fun for people who are fun. For those of you who don't want fun or don't need joy, you won't have to participate. And then I also have some takeaways if they can be helpful. All right, number 8 is number 1. We've got that. What else? Let's hear. Come on, put it in there. Be self-serving. All right, 8, 3, and 6. That's what we're going to start with. Thank you, ladies. All right, Marnie. You win, you're first. So you want to outline this in a sentence, just give us a little more so we can dig in. And then people with experience who can relate to this, please jump in and share your thoughts briefly so we give her as much value as we can. Let's take you off mute, Marnie. You said you're questioning your leadership. Let's see if we can make it really succinct on what would be helpful to hear from the smart ladies on the call. Oh, we can't hear you. Hang on. Unmute. And I can't unmute you, so you have to do it. You have a lovely background, though. Still can't hear you, darling. There you go.
Can you hear me this way?
We can.
Okay. Well, that's really weird. I have to call in through my cell phone, so that's bizarre that we have to take it that way. Anyway, I'm looking specifically for tips in talking and communicating with our team. So we do 2 huddles a day, 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. So one is a kickoff, and then the other is what do we get done today? Is there any hurdles? We work in an agile format, which means we all work on sprints, and as we get assigned different tasks or things that we're doing, then that time gets scheduled out. And I feel as though there's so much stress that's going around with all the reasons that we talked about, having kids at home that they're needing to educate their children while trying to work. Anybody who's on social media or watching the news, it's a bombardment. Right now I'm getting probably 500 emails a day, so much COVID messaging. It's hard to try to cycle through everybody's interpretation of what the SBA is doing right now. So I guess I'm looking for things that would be meaningful and inspiring that we can use with the team to keep them digging in, and I'm going to say just even making more of a commitment to the company.
Got it. All right. Speaking from experience. Oh, Deborah, we're so sorry you have to leave too. Come back. And if you want to do one-on-one conversation about the boss and manager, reach out, please. I'd be happy to spend some time with you on the phone if that can be helpful. Have a great day. All right, experience with motivating your team. She's got 2 huddles a day. People, what are you doing? What's working? What's getting people motivated? Make sure you come off mute when you're sharing. Let's see if we can help Marnie out.
Well, I was just thinking about your agile approach. And so I remember talking to a guy maybe a couple of months ago, long before this was going on, and he was he's an agile coach, and he was talking about using how his retros got to be too robotic. You know, they were no longer kind of meeting kind of the needs. They just going through the motions. And he talked about having more aspirational retrospectives. So taking a look at those sprints, those accomplishments and what have you, but being much more aspirational. I'll have to look up what he told me at the time, because I remember thinking like, oh, as a team matures or situations change, you can't always do it exactly the same way every time to get at the real meat of what might be getting in the way, or what a team needs, or how to approach the work more creatively, which we're all going to be called to do. You know, all our normals are abnormal. So I liked his aspirational thinking, and maybe that keeps a team engaged differently.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Who else? Experience. What's working? What helps with this? Communication.
This is Stephanie. We use agile processes with IT development, and we find that a daily meeting that we keep to 15 minutes, and most people are online for that anyway. So that keeps us all connected, and because there's a high level of trust on the team, that's the only routine meeting we have during our sprints. We also will meet to review the work at the end and test the work and talk about the backlog, but we kind of look at whether 2 meetings is serving you now, or if you need to change the frequency or duration.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Who else?
Few clients. I've got a
Marissa.
Yeah, it's Marissa. Okay. I've got a few clients who are just adding more frequent, like all hands meetings in, right? So they're still doing their huddles and whatnot, but they used to do, you know, a monthly staff meeting, and now it's weekly, and they're trying to play games, and they're doing happy hours, and they're sharing inspirational videos and asking people for, you know, input on, you know, things, how they could be innovative, or how they can be more efficient or productive during this time. So they're just trying to keep the conversation going and make it easier, because you just don't have the water cooler moments now, right? Because everybody's at home, so you have to create those in an intentional way. So I'd say more frequent can be helpful. You know, you don't want to have people permanently parked in their chairs either, right? And on Zoom, but.
Awesome, thank you.
Excellent.
Who else?
Thank you.
Bia.
So I have 2 things I can.
Oh, I was calling on Bia. Just a second, Celestine.
Yeah.
Let's get Bia, and then you're right in. Awesome.
I can go fast. So we did like a little bingo card with our teams. So there was things that they could do for their personal development, things that they could do to help our clients, and then just like community stuff, like people giving 3 5-star Google reviews to a local business, and winners got prizes that were gift cards to local restaurants that had been obviously forced to shut down or lost a lot of business. So just keeping people engaged while like working together to help our community has been cool, and people like that, I think.
Beautiful. Celestine.
Yeah, so 2 specific questions that you can ask that will help the team open up and be more vulnerable. And when there's more vulnerability, there tends to be more connection with people. So asking what's in the way, like what's in your way of anything really, work-wise or maybe even personally. And then what's something that you can celebrate, and ask it that it come from, like not from your head, but from your heart. So prior to that, what can be helpful is to do some kind of body movement. My wheelhouse is yoga. So some kind of chilled out yoga poses, like opening up your heart, like a back bend, could be helpful. And you don't necessarily need to be a yogi to do this. But something where your heart is sticking out, and have that first happen so that you're physically embodying being vulnerable, not like hit me with your best shot vulnerability, not like that. Like
good one, Celestine. We got to keep moving.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else? Heidi? If you weren't trying to go, it's
I'm
okay.
new to having a. Yeah, I wasn't trying to go. Sorry.
Got it. That's okay. I just saw there was note, you were highlighted, so that was all good. Marnie, did that help?
Yes, it did. Thank you. I do have a couple takeaways and reminders to circle back on things that we've done. So that was great. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it.
I have one last question I'd add to your list. That's one of my favorites. If you were running the company right now, what's working well, what's not, what would you change? What would you do? If you want ownership, you've got to get them to think like, what if this was mine? And what of what's happening right now is great? What about what's happening now isn't? All right, excellent. Alicia, doing more with less. Let's hear about it.
So our company has lessened the staff, so we are working a lot smaller than we normally were. We have a much smaller team. So I think the challenge right now is we're all wearing many hats and not only taking on more responsibility, but also in the retail industry with everything changing daily, how to manage basically the constant change with added responsibility.
Got it. So doing more with less. Everybody may be facing this at some point, not everybody, but a lot of our clients right now, a lot of our companies. So who's got some practical, what to do? How do you manage it? How do you think about it? How do you take care of both your mental well-being and the actual capacity of it? Is that fair, Alicia?
Yeah.
Awesome. So who's got some input? Marnie, is that you? Oh, you're signing to the coworkers. That happens. We all have coworkers now who are in our space. I always am on these going, is that someone here or not?
No, that was me raising my hand.
Oh, good. Please do. Excellent.
So I feel your pain trying to do more with less and needing to learn how to collaborate in a different way. And one thing that I have found that helps me out is I'll make a list and then prioritize the list and then actually check something off so that I can feel like I've actually gotten something done. Otherwise, it just, the stuff comes so quick that you don't feel like you're able to circle back on anything. And there's project management tools that are out there that are really useful instead of trying to keep things all on spreadsheets. And another piece of technology that we started using a couple of years ago is called Slack. And that is a great tool for communication, especially now that everybody's remote, so that things don't get lost in email and that you can have specific communication channels per topic. And that has increased a lot of the efficiencies as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Who else? Doing more with less.
Part of my thoughts are we're all such creatures of, we like ritual and structure. Even, you know, some of us are, of course, on the extreme. We're highly organized people to begin with, and some of us less so. But as human beings, we like habits, you know. And so when we get thrown into something that's different, whether it's a home office or suddenly you're doing more than one job or a job and a half, creating, like sitting down and saying, okay, what's my new structure, my new habits going to be, can sometimes just help the noise that gets in the way of accomplishing what you need to accomplish, if that makes some sense. So like, I think even, Sue, I think you wrote that in one of your newsletters, you know, about that structure and discipline and those new habits. And I've certainly had to do that here so I don't wander around, you know, my house and then go, oh, gee, you know, I didn't get that done in the way I wanted to get done. I have scheduled time for doing things and scheduled time for throwing the laundry in now that it's there for me to see.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else? Rita, please.
I know, like, when I'm having that feeling of needing to do more with less, it's easy to kind of get that feeling of spinning and trying to start on a number of things without finishing. So to just really get clear about what am I wrapping my arms around and what is it that I want to get finished, but even more so to realize, what do I have control over and what don't I have control over? And sometimes I just make a list, and then from that list to go, okay, these are the things I do have control over. What am I going to do with those? Maybe prioritize those or find a way to delegate some of those things. So that's been helpful for me.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else?
Sue, I would
Yes,
just
please,
add,
Jan.
Alicia, I love listening to everyone. I would also add a tool that I've just started to use with Sue is her EOS tools. And there is a meeting that she runs, which is a level 10 meeting that we get up very early for to make sure that we're there prepared. But in that meeting, it's a specific structure to the meeting. So I find myself so clear on my objectives and my goals and you're held accountable. So you set your goals each week, and then you come and you see how close you are to your goal. And if you're not close, what is getting in your way? What is the issue? Let's talk about the issue. Then let's put it on your to-do for the week. And I'm coming up on Friday now, and I'm thinking about, okay, what is it for me in particular with Sue that I've got to make sure, have I had issues? Have I met my goals? And it really propels me throughout the week to keep to those specific goals. And it's not tedious. It's not that you're setting, these lofty goals. You're setting goals, and they have changed, of course, in our environment. And I find this system, and it's a specific operating system, really awesome.
Thank you for the commercial.
I know, I'm sorry. I know, I'm sorry, Sue. I don't mean it that way, but it is something that I incorporate, that it really works. So anyway.
Awesome. So Alicia, the things you got great stuff. What I would add, +1 to everyone, what I would tell you is, when you're doing more with less, you have to realize there's only so many hours in a day. And what we've been saying, and I'm going to kind of bleed into the working from home with spouse and kids, because we've got a ton of good stuff in our blogs on this. So Stephanie, if we don't give you a ton on the call, please reach out to Jessica and she can point to specific issues, because we've been culling that info and sharing it because we're on calls like this. But the long and the short is, you need to set work hours. And what I notice is, it's very funny. My husband and I are both at home. He's never at home. He's a physician. And because he's in a non-specialty area, he's at home. 90% of his business is gone at the moment. It will come back with a rage soon. But he's at home, and he's irritated when his partners are not up and working on their days to work from home, because they're all taking turns going into the hospital. But I noticed he slept in, and I said, "You're pissed at your partner. What about you?" And he goes, "Yeah, this happens fast." And I went, "You've got to set hours. You've got to know that work is still work. And if you're not a structured person, you have to set limits and then start to say, what can I do during these hours?" And for those who have kids at home and all that, my heart goes out to you. I'm so grateful my kids are in their 20s right now, because it's immense to juggle with spouses at home. So a couple of great tips, and I'm just jumping in to expedite being sensitive to everyone's time. I'm willing to stay on the line for an additional few minutes, but we don't have to. So make blocks of time for the school work, for the spouse to be working, for you to be working. Try and coordinate your Zoom calls to the best of your ability so that you're not interruptive to one another. If your job or theirs has flex, one can do it at night, one can do it during the day. People have gotten so amazingly creative. Make sure you have space in your home for work, that it's not just the dining room table. I will tell you, for a majority of people, having workspace is critical, because your bedroom can't be where you work. You don't then turn off and be in your bedroom, or you fall asleep, or you relax too much. I tell people I schedule these on purpose to have to get ready. So I do have to shower. I do have to get ready because I don't want to slide into every day is my weekend. And on the weekend, I don't do it. But on the weekdays, I'm absolutely doing it. Why? Because that's a mentality that works for me to be productive. It's not everyone. Some people are just as productive doing it their way. The things I tell people, and I'll put this up on the slide right now. Let me stop sharing this and see if I can talk and do this. That would be shocking. But some of the questions on here, if you no longer commute and you did, where did that time go? Claim it for yourself, claim it for practices, do self-care. That's time that no one's missing. Work isn't saying, what are you doing for me? Your family shouldn't be saying, what are you doing for me? So whether that's 20 minutes to 2 hours, put it in the bank for you. This is when you do your yoga online with Celestine. This is when you get up and do some Pilates video. This is when I get on my treadmill desk. I've put 45 miles on my treadmill desk in the last week and a half. I do a lot of my Zoom calls while I'm walking because I get, you know, nutted up is what I call it. Too much energy bundled in a body. You know, so how you structure yourself is critical. And Jessica, and I don't want to divulge anything, but we had a conversation earlier this week where I'm like, you got to figure that out for you. You can't take my suggestions, you know, the best books one, but just step back. And if it's, you know, what Rita was talking about, making a beautiful space to want to be in, it's huge. It's huge. Make a cool background for your Zoom. So at least when I'm on, I've got 6 different ones. Changing that makes me feel like I went somewhere new. And it makes me laugh because some of them are goofy, some of them are political, some of them because I know which crowd I'm with. But they're dumb little things that make it productive and different. I went and got speakers for my desktop because I got sick of having my headphones on because my ears hurt. You know, things like this help you work and be more productive, but structure, and discipline, if you don't have it. We wrote, I don't know what blog number, Jess, you might know it off the top of your head, but I wrote like a checklist for working from home that's got, I think, 30 different things to look at to just say, are these things meaningful to you? By no means do we mean do them all, but do the ones that help you, that make it like I'm at work, and then when I'm not working, yeah, I do have time to cook, and I do have time to work out or go for a walk like Marissa did, and you can hop on the Zoom. She's getting it in. Most leaders I'm hearing are so stressed and they're going, I just can't get to work out. I'm like, do it before you get on Zoom. It's not the same pressure as getting to the office, but it is a way to make sure it happens. And we can't get so fluid with work and home that we forget we get time off, or that we forget that we get to work in a really structured, disciplined way. Because if we don't keep our businesses alive, none of us are going to be doing these calls either. And that's where I keep going. You gotta find that balance for you. So I hope that's helpful. Stephanie, I hope that gave you enough of what you were looking for. For those who might have to step off this list that can you guys see my PowerPoint up here? One is from a future blog that's going to come out next week. This bullet pointed 6 was in a blog we received a lot of really positive feedback on, just to give you some questions, whether to journal on, to think about life, to help you jog some of the cobwebs loose. And then the journal questions I got from my dear friend Mahtab. She found them on the internet. I don't know who to attribute them to yet, but we will have that attribution, or if we can't get it, we'll be saying, hey, we're sorry, and hopefully someone will direct us to the person. But these 5 questions, I've used them for meditation each day. I just pick one, start my day there. It's been meaningful. You can use them to journal from, but what am I grateful for? Who am I checking in on or connecting with today? I always ask, who are the strong people I know no one's checking in on, and how am I asking them what's going on? Who haven't I talked to in my circle for years? And this is a good excuse to do it. What expectations of normal am I letting go of today? Gold. That is a gold question, because too many of us are hanging on to certain things, and then we're either, to Jan's point, beating ourselves up about it, or we are on the other side saying, I miss it so much. Well, it's a few weeks right now. Let's just hang tough. You might be just fine very soon. So relative to the spectrum of your life, we can keep it, checked for the moment. How are you getting outside today? Marissa showed us, she even took us with, get outside. Being inside all the time makes us crazy. And what beauty am I either creating, cultivating, or inviting in today? I think, again, start there. It might help with mental, physical, personal well-being. Anyone need anything urgently we didn't address? I want to invite you to some craziness. I'm going to invite the EOS implementers to either beginning, middle, end of the happy hour, by the way, Marissa, so you're getting a preview. Only the cool people are finding out early, but Monday, we are inviting people to what we're calling, what did I call it? The Spreading Joy Challenge. And what this is it is strictly, it has no purpose other than spreading joy, making people laugh, being goofy, and having fun. So we being me initially, and I've dragged my, we have created some, can you hear me now? Okay, so here it is. We've created lip sync videos, and we're inviting crazy, fun, silly people to do the same thing, to pick a song that brings you joy. And you alone, the people you are sequestered with, who are bugging you at times, but might jump in on fun, your coworker who might be sleeping on the couch with 4 legs, or your work partners can do it and take a video this way, but we're asking people to do a lip sync challenge, at least 1 minute of a song, if not an entire song. And we're going to put hashtags together, so when people need comic relief and they just want to watch people being ridiculous, they can go to these pages and see people busting out to some goofy song. And so we're doing this strictly, again, to spread joy. It'll be in the blog with great detail on Monday, but if any of you are willing, we'd love to have a bunch of videos in the queue that aren't just us, so we can say, look, people are already doing it. I will send you the instructions ahead of time. There's 4 bullet points, because I'm a simple girl. If you and or your household or anyone you know is willing, please just email Jessica, because she's the ruler of the world. And we will get you the instructions, and we will share you so that we can have a little fun together. And that is really it. So any questions, comments, thoughts? Otherwise, we are going to finish our fabulous Friday that way. You guys can come off mute if you want to unmute everyone. Jess? Okay.
I just started mowing the lawn right next to me, so that's why.
That's beautiful. I like it. He's being purposeful.
Yeah.
Anybody? Closing thoughts, closing word or takeaway? Was it worth your time?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome sauce. Thank you for those
you.
still here. Join us again. Bring friends. Thank you for bringing a friend, Celestine. See you again next week.
I think
Marissa,
so.
hopefully I see you in happy hour.
You see me in an hour.
Awesome.